There are betrayals that cut so deep, they don't just hurt. They reshape you. They force you to question everything, your worth, your judgment, even your sanity. We live in a world that constantly screams, forgive and move on. But let's be honest, not all betrayals deserve forgiveness. Some are so cruel, so calculated, so personal. They leave a wound that never fully heals. This is not about holding grudges. This is about recognizing the weight of what was done to you and allowing yourself to stop pretending that every sin deserves mercy. Welcome to this series, 20 Betrayals That Do Not Need Forgiveness. Today, we begin with 4 of the most haunting betrayals of all. 1. The friend who slept with your partner. This is not just betrayal. This is emotional murder. Because it doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your trust in people entirely. Let's dissect this. You confided in that friend, told them everything, your fears, your insecurities, your dreams with this person. You shared the good times and the bad. You thought they were safe. You trusted them. But while they sat and nodded and smiled in your face, they were secretly planting a knife in your back. And it's not just about the act itself. It's about what it represents. They didn't just cross a line. They erased it. They took your vulnerability and weaponized it. They watched you cry over that partner. They watched you try. And still they chose to do the one thing they knew would destroy you. It wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. And that's what makes it unforgivable. Because let's be honest, you can forgive ignorance. You can't forgive intention. When someone chooses to do the very thing that would devastate you with full awareness, with full access to your heart, that's not weakness. That's malice. That is cold, calculated betrayal. And here's what makes it worse. They always try to come back. They say it just happened. They say, we didn't mean to hurt you. They say, we didn't plan it. But they forget one thing. They had to lie to do it. They had to sneak. They had to hide. They had to pretend. They knew it was wrong. And they did it anyway. So tell me, what exactly are you forgiving? The lie, the deceit, the silence, the nights they shared a bed behind your back while you thought you still had something sacred? No. Some things are not healed with time. They're only buried. Forgiveness is powerful, but it is not owed, especially not to those who consciously destroy the world you trusted them with. And if you've ever experienced this kind of betrayal, you are not bitter for feeling rage. You are not weak for walking away. You are not wrong for refusing to forgive. Because sometimes healing is not about offering peace to the one who hurt you. It's about offering justice to yourself. And justice starts by saying, I deserved better, and I won't pretend otherwise. Some betrayals feel like being stabbed. But family betrayal? That feels like being slowly poisoned by the very people who were supposed to protect you. Everyone says blood is thicker than water. They use that to guilt trip you into silence. But what no one talks about is the kind of blood that bleeds you dry. Number 2 of 20 betrayals that do not need forgiveness. We are exposing one of the most painful truths people are too afraid to admit. 2. The family that betrayed you when you needed them most. You were at your lowest. Maybe it was financial, emotional, maybe it was after a heartbreak. You reached out. You cried for help. You expected comfort. But instead, what did they do? They gossiped. They judged. They mocked. Some even celebrated your downfall. They didn't protect your pain. They exploited it. And the worst part? You didn't expect enemies in your own house. You thought home meant safety. But some people only love you when you're quiet, when you're convenient, when your success makes them look good. The moment you need something they can't show off, the moment your life becomes messy or real, they start distancing, talking, attacking. And this is where the betrayal cuts deepest. They know your wounds, and they still choose to press into them. You know the type. The mother who sides with outsiders just to silence you. The siblings who treat you like competition instead of family. The uncle who smiles in public but tears you apart in secret. The aunties who label you disgrace because you didn't take their path. You didn't get love. You got politics. You got gaslighting. You got silence when you needed a voice, and judgment when you needed understanding. That is not family. That is betrayal wearing your last name. And then they tell you to forgive because they're still your blood. But tell me, what good is blood that only flows when it benefits them? What good is blood that only stains your name and not theirs? What good is blood that constantly demands loyalty but never offers love? Some betrayals from family are not misunderstandings. They're intentional. They're rooted in jealousy, in control, in resentment they never admit. And no, you are not wrong for cutting ties. You are not ungrateful for choosing your peace. Because there's a difference between family by blood and family by heart. Some of the most dangerous people in your life share your DNA, but DNA doesn't excuse disrespect. And forgiveness is not a free pass to people who've made a pattern of hurting you and calling it tough love. You don't owe your healing to those who contributed to your breaking. Let this be clear. You can love people from a distance. You can pray for them and still protect your peace. But you don't need to explain why you never went back. Some betrayals aren't meant to be undone. They're meant to be remembered, so you don't repeat the same mistake. Trusting people who proved they're comfortable with your suffering. In this series of 20 betrayals that do not need forgiveness, we're not here to sugarcoat. We're here to say the hard truths out loud, the ones you've been silencing for years. Because if you've ever been betrayed by your own blood, you know this isn't just pain. It's a spiritual violation. And no amount of tradition or guilt will convince you to keep bleeding for people who never intended to heal with you. 3. When they use your secrets against you. Some betrayals cut you, but this one exposes you. It's not just betrayal. It's humiliation. It's psychological warfare. Here is to number 3. Let's talk about the people who weaponize your vulnerability. You confided in them, not because you were weak, but because you thought you were safe. You told them things you hadn't told anyone, things that kept you up at night, fears you buried, flaws you were still learning to forgive in yourself. And what did they do? They stored your secrets like bullets, waiting for the day they could fire them back at you. They didn't offer support. They offered silence. And then, at the slightest argument, they exposed you. Not to help you heal, but to shame you. That is not a friend. That is not a partner. That is a ticking time bomb you mistook for a safe space. And here's why this betrayal is different. It breaks your ability to trust. It makes you doubt your own voice. Because now, every time you try to open up again, you hear that echo. What if they do the same thing? People like this don't deserve closure. They deserve distance. Because when someone uses your secrets against you, they're not just hurting you. They're trying to control the version of you the world sees. And no, it doesn't matter if they later apologize. It doesn't matter if they didn't mean to hurt you. Because betrayal doesn't care about intentions. It cares about the impact. This betrayal is unforgivable because it teaches you the wrong lesson. That silence is safer than connection. That bottling it up is better than being seen. That no one can be trusted. Not even the ones who swore they'd never judge you. But the truth? You're not the problem. They are. So let them go. Let the fake friends, fake lovers, fake ride or dies lose access to your story. Because your story deserves a vault, not a loudspeaker. 4. When they compete with you secretly. This is the betrayal people rarely talk about. Because it doesn't come with knives or shouting. It comes with smiles, applause, and subtle sabotage. Here is to number 4, where we uncover the hidden competition behind false friendship. You thought you had support. You thought you had a tribe. You celebrated them loudly. But behind the scenes, they were plotting your downfall quietly. They clapped when you won, but you didn't see their face after the celebration ended. Their compliments came with backhanded shade. Their advice came laced with sabotage. The truth is, they don't want to lose to you. Even if you're not competing, you didn't sign up for a race. You were just living, thriving, healing, elevating. But to them, every step you took forward was a threat. So they started tearing you down. Subtly, consistently, and strategically. They copied your ideas. downplayed your wins, and questioned your success like it was luck. They asked fake questions just to gather intel. And then came the worst part. They masked jealousy as concern. Suddenly they were worried about your pace. Suddenly they thought you were doing too much. But it was never love. It was never support. It was camouflaged envy dressed as friendship. Why is this betrayal unforgivable? Because it's psychological. It makes you second-guess your shine. It forces you to dim yourself just to keep fake peace. And when you finally catch on, when the mask slips, you realize the friendship was never real. It was a rivalry in disguise, a slow war, and you were the only one playing fair. This kind of betrayal needs no forgiveness, not because you're bitter, but because they chose deception over honesty. And once trust is broken in silence, there's no loud apology that can repair it. You don't owe loyalty to people who can't clap without comparison. You don't owe access to people who feel entitled to your downfall. Protect your space. Shine louder. Let them compete. Alone. To be continued.